Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, a Medill Justice Project client has been released from prison.
An off-campus robbery has left the NU campus on edge.
And a popular North Campus study spot is shutting down. All those stories and more.
Coming up next on the Northwestern News Report, it's your news right now. Welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Maddie Coe.
And I'm Jesse Kirsch. Thank you for joining us tonight as we get set to start the newscast this evening. Just moments ago, the polls closed in New Hampshire as the Granite State primary came to a close. And it doesn't look like there will be too many surprises tonight as CNN and the Associated Press are already calling the race for Senator Bernie Sanders in the Democratic field and on the GOP side for Donald Trump. As the returns stand now, Senator Bernie Sanders holds a nearly 10-point lead on former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. In the Republican field, Donald Trump has a more than 15-point lead on Governor John Kasich, with former Governor Jeb Bush in third, right around 11%. All of those returns are according to Politico. We will, of course, update you more on all of this throughout the evening, including having some analysis later on in the newscast.
Evanston police are still looking for a man who broke into an off-campus apartment and threatened students. The break-in happened last Tuesday on the 600 block of Clark Street, just south of campus. Police are describing the suspect as a black male in his 40s with a medium build wearing a black hoodie. He gained entrance to the apartment by smashing a back window. Once inside, he threatened students, saying he had a weapon. None of the residents saw a weapon and no one was hurt, but the man did get away with 2 laptops, 2 wallets, and a book bag. Some of the stolen items were recovered. Police did take a suspect into custody, but he was later released after the victims could not positively identify him. Police are still waiting on lab results from evidence found at the scene before they release more information about the incident.
And now to a recently closed case. The Medill Innocence Project has been making headlines this week as a former client was released from prison. NNN's Eric Miller joins us in the studio with more. Eric?
Thanks, Jesse. Willie Donald was released from prison on January 28th after serving nearly 24 years of what would have been a 60-year sentence. Donald was convicted for a series of armed robberies in which one person died back in 1992. Now, in 2007, a key witness against Donald recanted her statements to the Medill Innocence Project, but Donald wasn't out of the woods yet. While the MIP was in the middle of handling Donald's case, the program was suspended when its director came under fire. It took Donald's lawyer years to track down the witness and get her statement in an official deposition, eventually leading to Donald's release. For the Medill Innocence Project, since reborn as the Medill Justice Project, this victory has been a really long time in coming. Now, Donald was released last Thursday. We'll have more on this story next week. Maddie?
Thanks, Eric. Saturday night, the South Asian Student Alliance shined on stage in the group's annual Salsa show. This year's show, which took place at Khan Auditorium, was named Straight Outta Delhi. The MCs of the night told an ongoing story of getting their band, the Backstreet Boys, back together. Performances from dance teams like Northwestern Bhangra and nationally titled Anubhav took the center stage. Additionally, every performer took part in a class dance, highlighting every graduating year from freshmen to seniors. Showcasing more than just dance, the Salsa show featured a cappella group Brown Sugar and a soloist. Salsa co-president Anna Radhakrishnan shared her thoughts on the value of the annual show.
Just the best way to showcase our culture. I'm really proud of this event. A lot goes into it. We've been preparing for months now, and as a board, we couldn't be more proud of this event.
We'll be waiting until next year to see more great performances. Up next, a Medill professor receives a grant to help save an archaeological site.
I'm Matt Dunn, and coming up, I'll have your 5-day weather forecast.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Let's take a look at your 5-day weather forecast. It's Fat Tuesday, and a very Arctic one at that. Stock up on those sweets and stay indoors because we won't be above freezing point for the next week. Tomorrow you can expect cloudy skies and a high of 17 degrees and a low of 10 degrees. The sun will come out on Thursday, but the high will only be 23 degrees. We'll see a low of 17 degrees. Look forward to Friday, which will be the warmest day this week, with a high of 26 degrees and a low of 3 degrees. For the basketball game on Saturday, the high will be 15 and the low will be 10. And finishing off the weekend on Sunday, there will be afternoon showers with a high of 23 and a low of 20. This has been Matt Dunn with your 5-day weather forecast.
All right, thank you, Matt. We want to update you on the New Hampshire primary returns. At this moment, we are getting reports that former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton is expected to concede on the New Hampshire primary to Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont. Of course, in 2008, Clinton won the New Hampshire primary by under 3 points after a stunning loss to then Senator Barack Obama in Iowa. We'll have more later on.
While New Hampshire votes, we wanted to know who Northwestern students think will win the primary. We asked which candidate you thought would come out on top in this week's Rock Talk.
The New Hampshire primaries, I think Bernie and Ted Cruz are going to come out on top.
I think that depends. I'm not sure which party. I think for the Republican Party, Cruz may come out on top again, and I think it'll be closer between Cruz and Rubio. And then for the Democratic Party, I think Sanders will get it, just because it's close to Vermont. That seems to be his area, though I don't know. We'll see.
Democrats, I think it's pretty clear that Bernie Sanders has a massive lead there. No question about that. And for the Republicans, I think it's going to be Donald Trump. The polls, again.
I think that Bernie Sanders is going to come on top of the Democratic primary in New Hampshire because of the geographic proximity to Bernie's, hometown and his senatorship. So, yeah, Bernie Sanders.
If you have an idea for next week's Rock Talk, tweet at us at @NNN_news.
Hundreds of students flow through the Seeley G. Mudd Library on North Campus each day, but soon a major renovation will eliminate this large study space for the time being. NNN's Ariel Schwartz visited Mudd Library to get student and staff reactions on this major project.
On March 25th, the Mudd Science and Engineering Library will be closing its doors for an 18-month-long construction project. The project will include a reconfiguration of the library structure and will create more lab space for science and technology students.
Dean of Libraries, Sarah Pritchard, explains why construction is necessary to help students.
The building that Mudd Library is in is being significantly expanded because of its convenient adjacency to several science buildings to allow additional laboratories to be built.
Pritchard also disclosed some new features that will be added to the library.
We also are hoping when the Mudd Library reopens to offer a 24-hour space, and this has never before been possible.
Though this project may seem like a great idea, many students disagree. Ross Hosman, a freshman economics major, thinks the remodeling is unnecessary.
Compared to the other libraries, University's far and Deering has poor hours, meaning that going forward, these two libraries are going to be extremely overcrowded and extremely densely packed.
Librarian Scott Garden agrees closing the library is an inconvenience, but will ultimately provide students with better opportunities.
We know we're a popular destination for students. Over 100,000 students visit us every quarter. So we know there's going to be a major disruption in the lives of the students who use the facilities.
Ariel Schwartz, Northwestern News Report.
Thank you, Ariel. After closing in March, the library is expected to keep its doors shut through the summer of 2017. Until then, students will have to seek study space, research assistance, and additional services at university and Deering libraries.
A Medill professor has received a major grant to help raise awareness of his film about an endangered heritage site in Afghanistan. Here's NNN's Ben Trachtenberg with the story.
Last month, the Reva and David Logan Foundation awarded $50,000 to Medill professor Brent Huffman to help promote his documentary, Saving Mess-Aynak. Huffman's film follows a team of Afghani archaeologists as they work tirelessly to save the ancient Buddhist city of Mess-Aynak from a Chinese mining company. The conflict, $100 billion of copper located directly under the priceless ruins. Mess-Aynak, Pashto for little source of copper, is located in eastern Afghanistan and is thought to be about 5,000 years old. Huffman found out about the conflict while investigating Chinese economic expansionism.
They proposed an open pit copper mine, which would just be a massive crater that would destroy everything. And it seemed like the story wasn't being told.
The Reva and David Logan Foundation is a Chicago-based organization which provides strategic grants in the arts, social justice, and investigative journalism.
And then this new grant from the Logan Foundation, this $50,000 grant, is solely for outreach of the film.
According to the foundation, the outreach campaign has 3 parts: to preserve Mess-Aynak as a World Heritage Site, to widen understanding of Afghani culture, and to strengthen the Afghan Ministry of Culture's ability to protect other historical sites. Huffman hopes the film can break some harmful stereotypes about the Afghan people.
So the central characters of the film are these Afghan archaeologists that are really risking their lives to save their own culture.
Even with Saving Mess-Aynak about to tour around the world, Huffman is ready to explore other stories.
And then I'm very interested in threatened cultural heritage in Yemen, and journalists and cultural heritage specialists trying to protect human rights, save cultural heritage, and tell that story.
Ben Trachtenberg, Northwestern News Network.
The next stop on the film's world tour is the Fordham University Law Society in New York City.
And when we come back, an NU student makes headlines for her vast trivia knowledge.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
International students and East Asian community members gathered together Saturday night at the Chinese New Year Gala hosted by Northwestern Chinese Scholar and Student Association. NNN's Missy Chen went to the gathering and asked students how they celebrate away from home.
Participants had already waited in line an hour before the gala started. Rustin Gonabi, a first-year graduate student at Northwestern, was among the 250 people coming to the event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think every culture, I think they exhibit their traditions and their culture best through their holidays, and especially since Chinese New Year is the most important holiday in Chinese culture and also a lot of other East Asian cultures. I think it's really important to get to know how that is celebrated and what it means to the people who celebrate it.
The gala featured activities, games, music, and culture performance. There was also a variety of Chinese food provided to all participants. Alex Xu, the president of Northwestern Chinese Scholar and Student Association, explained the purpose of hosting the event.
So there are mainly 2 purposes. The first one is for those people who are away from their family and friends. I bring these Chinese people together to celebrate the biggest festival in China together, so they are feeling they're at home. And second, for those people who are interested in Chinese culture, I want to give them an authentic Chinese New Year experience.
Xiang Li, an international student from China, talked about how he felt about not being home for Chinese New Year for the first time.
I feel like a stranger to be here, especially when my parents talk to me, like send me some pictures, like how we celebrate. You can see that, and I just feel, oh, maybe I kind of miss my home.
The key spirit of Chinese New Year has always been to bring out the festive mood and enjoy the time of the year with family and friends. As we say in China, 新年快乐, Happy New Year. Missy Chen, Northwestern News Network.
February 8th was the first day of the Year of the Monkey. The Chinese New Year celebrations will continue throughout the week into the weekend.
Students gathered in the Norris Center on Sunday night to celebrate something just a little bit different. The Super Bowl 50 matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers, of course. Northwestern's Department of Student Life organized the watch party as part of its free winter programming. Over 100 students swiped their wild cards to access various Super Bowl snacks, including chicken wings and a nacho bar. Yum. Whether sports fans or not, students huddled around the Norris TV to enjoy the commercials, the star-studded halftime show, and of course, that highly anticipated football game. You know what it's all supposed to be about. Hope Wallace, Assistant Director of Student Organizations and Activities within the Department of Student Life, said she hopes events like these will bring students in the Northwestern community together.
We do programming, it's always free programming, open to any student, and we try to make it stress relieving, really fun, sometimes a little educational, but tonight was just free food for the Super Bowl here in Norris.
In the end, the Denver Broncos defeat the Carolina Panthers 24-10. And still ahead, we'll have an update on what's going on in New Hampshire with NNN's political analyst, Quentin Heilbronner. Stay tuned.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Why hang around waiting for opportunity to knock when instead you can track opportunity down and knock on its door? You might ask, what's the best way to identify where opportunity lives? Here's a hint. Its door is colored purple. Northwestern University. Opportunity awaits your knock.
Why spend your entire life looking for some on-ramp to the road to opportunity when there's already a well-traveled path? So you may be wondering, what does that path look like? Is it paved with gold? Well, here's a hint. It's actually paved with purple. Northwestern University. Your road starts here.
Welcome back to the Northwestern News Report. Now joining us in studios, Quentin Heilbronner, and NNN's political analyst and former president of the Northwestern College Democrats. Quentin, it has been a busy night. As soon as those polls closed, they already had numbers in for us.
Oh yeah, it was incredibly surprising to me that they were able to call New Hampshire so quickly. The instant that all the polls closed in the state, they called it for Trump and they called it for Senator Bernie Sanders.
And specifically looking at Sanders, we knew it being right near his home of Vermont, it was not going to be much of a challenge coming in. It looked like he was going to have a blowout victory, and it's starting to shape up that way considering how close or how early they were able to call it.
It's looking exactly like that. The Clinton campaign is trying their best to make sure that everyone knows Vermont is right next to New Hampshire. You know, the people in New Hampshire have known him for a good long time because he's been the senator from a neighboring state. Not a lot of people live in Vermont and New Hampshire, so he's really gotten a chance to do retail politics and connect with many people on an individual level and not just through campaign commercials.
And on the other side of things, Donald Trump. We knew that he was the front runner coming into this primary today, but there was also a lot of talk in the polls, in the media, about him not winning this and his campaign is dead. So his campaign is very much alive.
Oh yeah, it's been fun to see the conventional wisdom ricochet from, you know, the week before the Iowa caucuses, Trump was leading in the polls by a solid amount, and it was going to be Trump. And the Republican establishment, you know, there are all those stories, the establishment making its peace with the fact that Trump was inevitably their nominee. Then Cruz wins Iowa. Suddenly it's Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and Trump doesn't even exist anymore. Then Marco Rubio completely fell to pieces in that debate Saturday night. He's falling to pieces in New Hampshire right now, polling 5th so far, with 10% of the final vote, at least from what we've seen so far. And now, once again, the narrative is Trump is a front runner.
And to fill in the rest of that picture for you on the Republican side, so we mentioned Donald Trump polling at 34%, John Kasich at 16%, former Governor Jeb Bush at 12%, Ted Cruz at 11%, and you mentioned Marco Rubio at 10%. So he is all the way at the bottom of that top echelon. Do you think his campaign has run its course?
I don't think it's run its course. I think he's gotten a ton of really critical endorsements. You know, just the night after, I believe after Iowa, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina endorsed him. A number of other prominent Republican office holders have endorsed him. However, this is definitely a huge, huge setback for him. They've slightly publicized a 3-2-1 plan, coming in a surprise third in Iowa, using the momentum to get up to second place in New Hampshire, and then trying to actually win outright in South Carolina. 5th place is not fitting in with the 3-2-1 plan. The votes are not all in. He could move up, but it's looking bad.
And then what about the man who's giving Marco Rubio plenty of trouble in the debate on Saturday night, Governor of New Jersey, Christie? Is Christie done? He looked like he might have a chance early on in the polling tonight, but it looks like he's at the bottom now.
He's at 8%. That's just 2 points behind 5th place in Marco Rubio. The debate, or the upcoming Republican debate in South Carolina, says that anybody who got into one of the top 5 places in New Hampshire will have a seat in the debate. Christie is right now in 6th in New Hampshire. If he stays in 6th, he will not get a slot on that debate stage, and his campaign will be, for all intents and purposes, over, even if he doesn't drop out, which I think he will.
And then just some quick, rapid recap for us, Quentin. Moving forward, what does this mean for South Carolina and Nevada, everything else to come?
Well, the next race for the Democrats is Nevada, the next race for the Republicans is South Carolina, and they're both going to be really, really bloody. Nevada has had sort of a lack of polling in recent days. There are very, very few polls out of Nevada recently, and so we don't really know for the Democrats whether Senator Clinton, or whether Secretary Clinton, or whether Senator Sanders actually is favored in that state. Clinton has led in previous polls, but they were conducted a good long time ago.
All right.
South Carolina, Trump's still in the lead, Cruz is in 2nd. It's going to be big.
We'll have to find out, and we'll have plenty of coverage of all of that on Politicat and more here on the Northwestern News Report. Quentin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, we catch up with a Northwestern student who was featured on a popular game show.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Why hang around waiting for opportunity to knock when instead you can track opportunity down and knock on its door? You might ask, what's the best way to identify where opportunity lives? Here's a hint. Its door is colored purple. Northwestern University. Opportunity awaits your knock.
Why spend your entire life looking for some on-ramp to the road to opportunity when there's already a well-traveled path? So you may be wondering, what does that path look like? Is it paved with gold? Well, here's a hint. It's actually paved with purple. Northwestern University. Your road starts here.
Northwestern's own Amanda Rosner appeared on the Jeopardy! College tournament last week, but it wasn't all fun and games for the freshman. Rosner appeared extensively prepared for the tournament, and she also strategized on how to make it to the final rounds.
Our wild card spots in the college tournament. So I learned that I didn't have to play just for first, but I could play for a high second. So I studied every other college tournament year. I also practiced Final Jeopardies to see how good I was at them, if I was confident in the category versus not confident. And also practiced clicking a pen while watching Jeopardy to get buzzer time down.
Students and staff gathered to watch the episode Wednesday afternoon in Norris, cheering for Rosner when she answered correctly and booing when her competitors found the daily doubles. She answered questions on topics ranging from sandwiches to presidents and everything in between. She placed third, accumulating $13,200 after correctly answering the final Jeopardy question. But despite her strong performance, she did not advance to the next round in the tournament. Rosner said appearing on Jeopardy! Has been a lifelong dream, but now that she's been on the game show, she's got her sights set on Wheel of Fortune or maybe even 500 questions.
Over $13,000? I should really start watching Jeopardy! A lot more. Did you guys ever watch it growing up?
Honestly, that was just not for me. I was never good at all that fact game show stuff.
I liked Who Wants to Be a Millionaire because I have terrible taste.
But which host? I mean, that host has changed over so much. Regis?
I honestly have I was years and years ago.
I mean, look, I always felt like I would go to class, you know, everyone always asked their teacher, like, why did I have to learn this? You know, what am I going to use this for? I would go home and I promise you, I would go home that day and it would be like some book we read, and that would be a question on Jeopardy! If it's going to get you $13,000 though, I mean, maybe we should start studying.
Might as well. I mean, what's the best fact you've ever learned from it?
Oh, you just got to guess randomly. I think the word fulcrum, I got that one once. It's the little triangle like between like a seesaw. That's a thing.
Beautiful.
Whatever you can take away from it.
I mean, I guess I got to start watching it. Maybe I'll be as good as her one day.
Oh, we're glad you watched this tonight, and that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Northwestern News Report.
I'm Maddie Coe.
And I'm Quentin Halbronner.
And I'm Jesse Kirsch. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.